Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's Always Sunny in Phoenix, a weekly podcast where we keep you up to date on everything Phoenix Suns basketball. Today, we're going to recap the 3 awesome games the Suns played last week and talk about the next few upcoming games as well. It's just me and David here today, and to tell you the truth, I'm a little nervous about how this is going to go without Mitch. Am I going to be able to contain the David by myself?
Oh, you're not going to be able to.
And so, David, how are things, buddy?
You know, to be honest, I'm actually a little under the weather, so containing might be a little easier. But well, you see, when I'm under the weather, I really like to contain myself, actually, with no pants. So I guess that's not really containing. I guess it's the opposite of containing. But whatever. So you know, when I'm feeling sick, I just like to sit around the house, wear no pants, and just wear a t-shirt. And you might think that's weird, but I'm actually rocking a Sunny in PHX Pod t-shirt this time. So you should totally go buy those because they're pretty cool at tpublic.com/user/Sunny in PHX Pod because they're really good for when you're sick and just want to wear no pants.
You know, I just have that. We're not on the webcam tonight. I can't see David. And for that, I am thankful. And you know what? When you mentioned that you were sick today, you in fact, you sound really good. So
thanks. I appreciate
that's a plus.
it.
But do you remember the episode where you didn't sound good and you were sick, but you troopered through that bad boy? Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh. I think that was I was sick for 2 weeks, I feel like, because we went up to Summer League also. And I had to leave the room when we were recording because I just started hacking up a lung. Oh my gosh. I'm glad I don't feel like that right now.
And the best part of that was you read the multiple sources intro that day with your terribly hoarse voice, and we used it for a little while because why not?
Hey, it was great.
Why not? Anyways, please get a hold of us on social media. Our Twitter is @SunnyInPHXPod. Check out the Facebook under the name Phoenix Suns Multiple Sources. Our email is sunnyinphxpod@gmail.com. And check out the website at sunnyinphxpod.com. All right, let's start off with some game recaps. Over the past week, the Suns took on the Cavs at home and then played 2 games in Mexico City against the Dallas Mavericks and the San Antonio Spurs. And this has been by far the most exciting and encouraging stretch of basketball that the Suns have played so far this season. And in each game, there was something to be really excited about, something that gets that fire burning again as a Suns fan. So back on January 8th against the Cavaliers, this was by far the best game of basketball the Suns have played so far this season. And even though the Cavs did end up with the victory in this one, final score 120-116, but the Suns really gave them all they could handle in this one, even though we saw the Cavs' big 3 all have solid scoring games. They all went over 20. LeBron had 28, Kyrie had 27, and Kevin Love had 25. The Suns were really within reach throughout that entire fourth quarter after a really nice third to bring them back. And in this game from the Suns, we saw Eric Bledsoe lead the way with 31 points on 12 for 18 shooting, and he also picked up 8 assists. Devin Booker put in 28, and the rest of the Suns' starting lineup all had double digits in this one, and so did PJ Tucker coming off the bench. So the big thing in this one, which helped the Suns keep this one close, was the turnover battle, which leads me into my stat of the game for this one. And that is that the Suns actually won the turnover battle in this game. The Suns are 3rd worst in the league when it comes to turnovers per game with 16.2, but they only turned it over 14 in this one, while the Cavs, who average a little less than 14 per game, turned it over 20 times. And Kyrie and LeBron both had 7 turnovers, which counts for a good chunk of those 20. And that just tells me that our guys weren't backing down from the situation. They weren't backing down from some of the better players in the league. And you know that Kyrie's one of the better ball handlers in the league, and some of those guys are worried about getting their ankles broke And they're consciously thinking about that. Maybe he's done it to him before or whatever. But Eric Bledsoe, great job of just staying in front of him and poking out some balls. And then you have TJ Warren guarding LeBron for a good chunk of the night. He also did an excellent job, and he pulled away 3 steals. And as a team, we had 12 steals with Bledsoe, Booker, and Tucker, each picking up 2. So just really happy to see that defensive intensity pick up against 2 of the better ball handlers / scorers in the league.
Yeah, but how many blocks, though, for Booker?
Is that worth looking up, or is that just the meme?
I think that's just the meme.
Do I address the meme?
We address the meme. You're supposed to kind of just like let it roll, but it's good.
I'm going to address the meme just to address the meme because it's a meme and memes deserve to be addressed, right?
They deserve a shout out, that's for sure.
Okay, so in this game, Devin Booker had 0 blocks, unfortunately.
He's got to get better on that. TJ Warren is kind of my stat of the game. It's not really a stat, but he was in the starting lineup. He got that matchup against LeBron that hurt his individual plus or minus, which, if you were watching the game, you wouldn't have thought that it was that bad, really. But, plus or minus, of course, all depends on lineups and all this other stuff, who you're matched up against, how your matchup scores on you, all that kind of stuff. So, he went up against LeBron. He had a pretty good game. It wasn't the best. It was 15 points. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He had those 3 steals. Really just not afraid to hound LeBron, especially towards the end there. There was one play where Booker and TJ double-teamed LeBron and just cut him off from the ball, and we were able to get a steal. It was really nice. TJ, of course, also played 27 minutes. Tucker did play 28 minutes, but TJ did get the start, and it was good to see. I really enjoy the starting lineup when he's in there, and we've got Chris, and we just got a ton of athleticism in that lineup. So it's one of my favorite ones to watch, and I'm glad that TJ's healthy and was in that starting lineup.
Right on. We're both definitely glad to see TJ back. I know we're going to talk about him a little later as well, but I mean, just these matchups we've seen him in against the Spurs, against Leonard, against LeBron in the Cavs games. He's stepping up to the challenge, and I mean, he's younger than LeBron, of course, but give TJ another year or 2, and I think he's going to be one of the better small forwards in the league.
Without a doubt. And if his defense keeps on improving, if his defense stays constant, I guess is what I should say, not improving, but he's been a pretty constant defensive effort, and becoming that 2-way player is going to be something that will be really good for him, since he wasn't known as a defensive guy coming in.
Right, and just one more note. It's really a shame that he went out with that head injury, whatever that injury actually was, because he was hot before that. And when he came back, we can't complain about how he's come back, but not putting up quite the numbers he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, there was that stretch in the beginning where, he was our leading scorer, and he was doing fantastic and really looked like we could go in, and even if we were losing, he was going to be putting up enough to keep us close alongside Booker and Bledsoe. We joked about that BBW core. And it sucks that he went out with that head injury, but we're really glad that he's back, and he's looking really good still.
We'll wait for you, TJ.
Always.
We'll wait for you. Okay, now we move on to the Suns game, where they headed down south to Mexico City for a couple of games, actually. And both of these were technically home games for the Suns. And in this one against the Mavs, it looked like we had the home court advantage. It seemed like there were a lot of Suns fans there, so that was pretty cool. But the majority of this game was pretty rough on the Suns, especially thanks to Deron Williams and Harrison Barnes. And, oh yeah, even that old guy, Dirk Nowitzki, he chipped in 18 to go with Williams' 23 and Barnes' 22. And the Mavs took this game, final score 113-108. And this is a game where nobody other than one guy could really get it going for the Suns on offense. Chandler had a solid game with 14 points, 19 boards. Chris hit his first three-pointers in the first quarter, just the first few minutes of the game. But then he fizzled out, and he only ended up with 13. And then Bledsoe only put up 4 shots in this entire game, and he played normal minutes, and he ended up with 11 points.
Woof.
But like I said, in each of these 3 games this last week, there was something to be excited about, something that all of us Suns fans should be getting pretty hyped up about. And in this game, it was Devin Booker with the career-high 39 points. Just watching what this guy can do, being only 20 years old, has been pretty amazing of late. I guess more amazing than usual. And I'm going to save my Booker man-crushing for my stat of the game, but we'll let David go first.
Yeah, as easy as it would be to just gush some more about Booker, I wanted to give some love to old Tyson. Tyson's one of my favorite guys. I have a real soft spot for Tyson. I think it has kind of to do of me getting back into basketball in 2012 with that Olympic team, where really just about all of those Olympic team guys I have a real soft spot for. You know, he had 14 points and 19 rebounds. Chuck kind of mentioned that. He's having these fantastic rebounding numbers this entire season. I think he's like 3rd in the league in rebounding. I didn't give him enough love at the beginning of the season to be putting up these kind of rebounding numbers. He played 38 minutes. He went 5 of 8 from the field, just getting those clean-up dunks. He went 4 of 6 from the free throw line, which has always been something that's been really good this season, is that from the free throw line, he's been really solid and hasn't been a negative or when we've been in a close game or anything like that where we've had to take him out because of being hacked or anything, because he's making his free throws. He had 1 block, he had the 2 turnovers, but just a really solid night, almost another 20 rebound game. Much love for Tyson.
Right. A couple of things I've been seeing out of Tyson lately is he's really a deterrent down in the paint. When there's a guy that knows maybe a shorter guy or a guy that doesn't have good ups, and they see Tyson on that block down there, you notice guys pull that back out right away. They're not going to test him, while they might try it on Len or something. It seems like he has a respect down on that block. So I really like that.
That comes with being a veteran, I think, is that he does have that respect. He is a very respectable guy in the league. And, where Len, I think a lot of guys can kind of bully him just because he really doesn't have as much of that strength. Tyson does have a ton of strength and is that veteran presence down low. And while he is kind of losing it here or there on the defensive end, he still does get a ton of respect just on reputation alone.
Absolutely. And yeah, you talked about the putback dunks, but in this game, I think it was this game, TJ Warren hit him with a nice lob, and he caught it pretty much cocked back and just tossed it in beautifully. Like, it looked like DeAndre Jordan throwing down an alley-oop almost. It was incredible.
Yeah,
like, he still has some spring there.
He may not be as athletic as he was, but dude is still an NBA player, and he's done that a couple of times this year where he's kind of caught it, and it's almost like where his arms could be straight out, and he catches it like really far out and just puts it down, and it's pretty nice, and it's almost like it'd be one of those things where if he was a little maybe saltier or something about the young 19-year-old kid with all the hops, of him saying like, hey, slow your roll, you're not the only super athletic guy on the team.
Yep, man, just we got to be thankful for Chandler, and I hope and I expect that the locker room is really putting it in for Chandler. I mean, he's a guy towards the end of his career. He's here in Phoenix. We're not looking like a playoff team, but we need to win some games. Do it for Tyson.
Yeah, that's just the great part. I mean, not only for Tyson, but for Barbosa and Dudley being in that locker room, them being like that core of veteran guys, really, that they are shaping our locker room. And when we look like we're having a ton of fun, our guys look like they really enjoy being around each other. Some that chemistry is going to go a long way in the coming years. And, I really enjoy that we have this core of old guys, if you want to say, that are in our locker room and being able to build that and even Earl Watson as part of it, build that family atmosphere.
Right. And if this is a little random here, but if you don't follow the Suns on Twitter and Instagram and all that, and the players, you need to do it. Just like on this last week on the Mexico City trip, I saw there were 3 great pictures that I screenshotted on my phone because I wanted to save them. One, I think this was from Big Sauce's Instagram. He's posing in front of a pyramid in Mexico City or around Mexico City somewhere. And then you have Len with the photo bomb just clowning in the back of the shot. Just made me laugh. And then one other one was it was a shot of Watson and Ulis in practice, and Watson has his arm around Ulis, and you can tell everybody's just having a good time. It's just a nice shot. And you just watching this stuff, I know social media, you want to look pretty and look your best for social media, but the look that we get into practice and all this stuff, it's really cool to see that stuff.
It really is.
But anyways, we should probably move it along here. I have a stat of the game. I want to talk about Devin Booker. And you've had to hear about this since it happened, but the dude scored 28 of his 39 points in the fourth quarter of the game. And 24 of the 29 of those fourth quarter points came in the last 7 minutes of the game. The dude couldn't miss. Wes Matthews, known to be a pretty solid defender, just really couldn't do anything about it. Booker was getting his shots up just right over top of him. He ended up 14 for 20 from the floor, 6 for 7 from 3, 5 for 7 from the line. So that's 70% from the floor and 86% from 3. Those are insane numbers. And, I mean, then you look at what he does in the next game against the Spurs. Just pretty incredible. And let's just hop right into that game. And we want to make this clear. Nobody beats the Phoenix Suns 10 times in a row. And after losing the last 9 against the Spurs, the Suns finally took that W. They packed it in their carry-ons. They boarded the flight to Mexico City. And they unpacked that W when they got back home in Phoenix. Final score, 108-105. I'm going to be real here. This is the most hyped I've been all season. And honestly, I don't even know if I was this hyped last season about any sort of Suns game. But this was just a great game out of the Suns. Fantastic to take one away from the Spurs. And for the Spurs, Kawhi Leonard, great game. Came away with a career high, 38 points. Knocking down jumpers, taking the ball to the rim. He's a man out there. That's just how it goes.
He couldn't score 39, though.
That's right. Devin Booker.
The GOAT.
Again. But anyways, other than Leonard, the Suns did a great job keeping the other Spurs scorers quiet in this one. And then, like we said, Devin Booker outscores Leonard's career high by 1 to get that 39 again. So 2 games in a row. Booker averages 39 points per game in Mexico City. That's pretty cool, huh? Book it. And this was on defenders like Leonard and Danny Green. Leonard's a great defender. Green's a solid defender. But Booker just couldn't be denied south of the border. So, other guys on the Suns, other than Devin Booker, we'll move on from Booker. Bledsoe had 17 points, 10 assists, nice double-double, also grabbed 6 rebounds. And then Warren was the only other Sun in double figures with 12 points on 6 for 10 shooting. And you know what? Back to TJ a little bit. Looked up his rebounding stats today just out of curiosity, and he's just a little less than 4 boards per game this season. Out of a 6'8 guy with his athleticism, you'd think he might grab a little more than that. And especially on the offensive end, it seems like he's always there for a tip in or a putback slam. But, it really doesn't bother me much because I want to see TJ Warren leaking out for those fast breaks. I'd rather see someone else crash in on the boards. Let TJ cherry pick a little bit. Get him going. And when he gets at the rim, I have more confidence in him than any other player on the team. I was going to say in the league. That might not be true. But, I mean, when he gets the ball under the rim, it feels like 2 points are coming our way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's just a great finisher. It doesn't even matter really who is running behind him. I mean, in the Cavs game, I think both him and Booker had points where LeBron was kind of chasing and they just put it up and went up for the dunk instead of trying to go for a layup where LeBron might have a chance to block it. He is really good at finishing. We all know that. We all know that is part of his game, along with that mid-range kind of herky-jerky game. We trust him to finish it, and I don't think there's anyone on the team that doesn't trust him when he's around the basket to get some sort of shot that's a good high percentage, high look, good shot, especially in transition. And I think that's just something that we ask our wings to do, is kind of to leak out. I know you said, and kind of to put it in, that he doesn't get a whole bunch of rebounds. Our wings don't really get a whole lot of rebounds. The only one that really does is PJ. And, Booker, Warren, we kind of ask even Barbosa, Knight, that they're not really going in for the rebounds, but they're leaking out, trying to get that fast break score so we can play up tempo. And I think that's just part of how we play, because there were plenty of times where Booker and Warren, especially against the Spurs, were leaking out and were able to get a good fast break score because they were in the right spot.
Right, and last I checked, we're third in pace, third highest pace. So yeah, if we're gonna win some games, we have to get out and use our speed to get those buckets. But let's Oh, and one more thing about TJ. When we're in a half court set and TJ Warren is coming off screens and cutting to the bucket, our guys are giving him the ball. They're fitting in those passes. They're thinking, if I can fit this ball in, TJ's going to get me an assist right here. And that's something that we absolutely need in our half court set, because otherwise it seems like things get so stagnant. There's a lot of dribbling. As many great things as Bledsoe has been doing lately, he does seem to hold on to that ball a little too long. Offense slows down and he ends up taking a questionable shot. But, man,
yeah,
I don't even know where I'm going with this anymore.
No, I mean, he works so great off the ball. He is I think one of the great things about him and Booker, really, as our two wings, is that they both can work off the ball, but also work on the ball. I know I've talked about in podcasts earlier this season how I want to see Warren really initiating the offense and really having the ball, but him just off ball, he's cutting, he's setting screens, he's doing all just the right things. And part of that is so great that we don't really have plays that we call for him. And I mean, we've mentioned how much we love that we want him to be a bigger part of the offense because we want him to have plays called for him, but he really doesn't need it to get his numbers. And that's just something that's really great, is that he's going to really feel the defense and be able to get his numbers that way.
Right. Okay. Now we'll go to stat of the game, and my stat for this one is the Suns holding Pau Gasol to just 3 points in 27 minutes on the court. And in our two previous matchups this season, 2 losses, Gasol has averaged 17 per game against us. And so this was a night where Leonard was the only guy that could get it going for the Spurs. And the Suns only pulled off this victory by 3 points. I think keeping Gasol quiet really played a huge factor in the victory for this one. And so props to Chris, Chandler, Len, and Bender, who all put in a few minutes against him.
Yeah, and my stat of the game is really Bender with the stretch. I stretched for a 666 stat line, 6.6 rebounds and +6 in the plus or minus. I just kind of stretched for that just because I thought it was funny. But Bender played really well. He went 2 of 3 from the 3-point line, hit 2 really fantastic threes, almost or should have hit a third. Not really should have. He totally missed it, but would have been fantastic if he would have hit a third. It was a great pass by Booker. It was just one of those things where he was playing really well, and he was playing in crunch time. That's something that I have been begging to see, is some Bender in crunch time. He was switching on to Parker and Ginobili like it was nothing. He did foul Ginobili on a 3-point attempt because Ginobili's the worst, and he falls like a sack of bricks at everything if someone breathes on him. So, it was a foul. It was a foul. I'm not going to say it wasn't a foul. I'm just saying that I hate Ginobili. But Bender was switching on to those guys, was not afraid. He forced Kawhi to really throw it out instead of getting a dunk towards the end of the game by just running in transition, and really just having his length was able to force Kawhi to pass it out, and then we were able to get Danny Green to shoot a 3 that he missed. It was just one of those things towards the end of the game that I saw, and just that length, and something that I really want to see is Tyson and Bender playing next to each other at the 4 and 5, just because of the length that those two bring. I mean, it would cause a lot of guys to have some issues in the paint, I think, even if they're not getting up to block it, but just kind of even just sitting there with their arms up, trying to, as someone's coming up for a layup, it's going to be a tough time for them. So it's just, it was great to see Bender play 21 minutes. It was great to see him hit those 2 threes and pull down those rebounds, and I really hope we can get some more Bender in crunch time.
Absolutely. And in the previous game against the Mavs, we saw Chris go 3 for 3. I think it was 3 for 3 within the first 3 minutes of the game, or something like that.
Something
from
like
downtown.
that. Yeah.
And man, we have some pretty versatile threats on our team. I know Bender's been getting some criticism that he hardly even shoots the ball inside the paint right now, but that's going to come along. He's like a 7'1" Gumby, so it's going to take a year or two. But once he gets some strength, I have no doubts that he'll be able to work the ball within the paint a little bit better than he can now.
No doubt. And he's really going to fill out into his frame well. If you see him in person, you see his shoulders, and even if you're far away, you can kind of see that he does have those wide shoulders. He has a frame that looks like he's going to be able to build onto it pretty well, and that really bodes well for being able to get that NBA body.
That 7'1" Backstreet Boy NBA body.
Hey man, don't talk smack. He's my favorite NSYNC member.
He is a handsome dude. Well, and that hair, it's just
oof,
immaculate.
It's
not the crazy business either. It's like a nice haircut.
No, he just looks good, and it looks like he grew up on American pop culture in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's exactly right. We all know the Friends story is he watched so many Friends episodes. That's how he learned English. So
hey, don't talk smack on Friends, man.
No, I like Friends.
You better. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to jump through this like microphone and beat you up.
I didn't watch it while it was running, but nowadays I'll watch a few of those reruns on TBS, no problem.
So good.
All right. So yeah, I think we'll move it along.
We'll move it along from Friends.
Yeah. I'll be there for you. Okay. But before we record again next weekend, the Suns play the Utah Jazz at home on Monday night. And then they head out east to play the Cavs on Thursday, and then head to Madison Square Garden, a.k.a. Horny's house, to take on the Knicks. So
the Horny house.
Let's just touch on some things that we're looking forward to in these games. We just played the Cavs, but first of all, we've been playing some really solid basketball, David. What do you think the Suns need to do to keep this hot streak going?
Besides request for our next or not really our next, but the rest of our games to be played in Mexico City. I think what we need to do is I don't know what Watson was doing really going into those games, but it looked like we were really trying to show that even though we are losing, and even though we are in a rebuild, we still want to be competitive, and we still want people to know that they can't sleep on us. Is kind of what I felt, and I think we really showed that with the Cavs and Spurs. And I think the best thing that we can do is just kind of just try and echo that these teams are looking at our schedule and are looking at our win-loss record and saying, okay, we can take a night off or whatever, and we gotta make them pay for it. And we have that youth, we can turn around, and even though some of our guys were playing a lot of minutes, can turn around and play a ton of minutes again just because of the youth and being able to recoup quicker. So just continue to play fast, continue to really not let these teams take a breather, because if we can do that, I think that we have a shot to not necessarily, I mean, I will say to win some games, of course, but to really show a large group of people that normally don't watch the Suns that we mean business. And I think the fact that we were on that kind of global stage, we were playing in Mexico City, really helped kind of pump that up against the Spurs, that we wanted to show the another market that we aren't just like a laughing stock or anything. And I think that could bode well, especially against the Knicks. Playing at Madison Square Garden, a lot of guys have those games where they want to show like the city of New York that they mean business, and there are so many Knicks fans and so many people that go to the Garden. And so I think, and Madison Square Garden, not the Boston Garden or whatever, that I think we could really look at that Knicks game especially as something that we are trying to show that we are not that laughing stock. And AD, Anthony Davis, had a 40-point 20 game or 40-20 game or something dumb like that just a few weeks ago against the Knicks. I don't remember exactly what it was, but really turned it on. The Madison Square Garden is historically a place where some of the greats really turn it on. And so, Leandro about to have a career game.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like how you mentioned kind of the stages that we've been playing on, and then the stage of New York City against the Knicks. And I want to see us keep this going when we come home to play the Jazz. And, the league is talking about Devin Booker. Lately he's just been tearing it up. Everybody knows. I want him to bring that back home to Phoenix, and I want to see us beat the Jazz, just first off. And then we're heading to the Cavs, another big stage against LeBron at their house. And we just gave them a run for their money last time we played. And can we keep riding this hot streak that we started against them back into their house? I mean, I'm feeling so optimistic right now for the first time in a while. I almost want to cry. I don't even know what it is, but
come here, baby.
I mean,
I've got a shoulder for you to cry on.
Ooh, thank you. But you know what I mean, though. It really seems like we've been waiting for it, and I think we put out the T-shirts too soon. I think the cheese is starting to reheat and warm up again right now. tpublic.com/user/SunnyandPHX.
Pod? Or is it just Sunny and PHX?
Sunny and PHX.
Well, I totally screwed that up in the beginning. Whatever. Sunny and PHX. We put that cheese in the microwave. It doesn't matter how long it's been out. It'll warm up, I think. It'll not be cold. It'll not be lukewarm. It'll be radiated warm. I don't know. Anyways, Booker has been averaging 31 points over his last 5 games. His shooting percentages have gone up. I think he's averaging 50 and 60 percentage, 50 from the floor, 60 from the 3-point line in these last 5 games. Really turning it on, and I hope that he can really push that streak really, and don't want him scoring 39 every night. I want him scoring 40, but he'll get there eventually. And
Yep.
I love seeing him play. I love seeing the young guys play. I have felt very optimistic a lot when I've been able to watch the games of some of our young guys, how they're able to play. I don't want to say like I'm just now feeling optimistic because whatever. I am feeling optimistic because I feel like all of a sudden people are starting to talk about all the things that I talked about when it came to Bender pre-draft, and now all of a sudden people are talking about everything. And I don't know if maybe I'm just looking back when rose tinted glasses, or just being like, yeah, I was right. Whatever. You can
Right.
pretend like you were on that hype train to begin with, but whatever. I know how it is, even though I said Chris was going to be better and then recounted. Anyways, that's besides the point.
Hey, and while we're talking about the rookies, before we move things along, Tyler Eulis against the Spurs was just great. At one point, Popovich, he tried to big dog us. He tried to make it impossible for Eulis to be in the game. The shortest player on the court for the Spurs at this time was Jonathan Simmons at 6'6". So that's almost a foot taller than Eulis, like honestly. But Watson didn't take him out of the game. And Eulis continued to make things happen. He hasn't been scoring flashy points, putting up big numbers or anything like that, but he's making a difference when he's in there. And just watching Watson leave him in when he had that insane mismatch, it just made me happy. I think Eulis needs that right now. And then next year when he's getting more minutes, he'll be a little more prepared and a little more confident.
Yeah, and I think that because of the Brandon Knight wrist injury, that being able to give those minutes to Eulis was fantastic, and makes me, every time I see him in, I just want him to play more because I love that little guy, and he plays with that fire, and I think that during that Spurs game we saw it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I think it's time to wrap things up the way we usually do. It's time for David's Comic Book Corner. But first, I'll give you my plug for the week. And mine is Rocket League.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, David had previously been a Rocket League player. But Mitch and I recently bought the game while it was on sale on Steam. So, we've been rocking it. We've been doing some multiplayer, and it's a blast. I mean, Steam Game of the Year for a reason. I mean, you can pick it up and play. It's a blast. It doesn't take too long to learn. I'm not saying I'm good by any means.
Oh, we're all
Actually,
terrible.
Yeah, we're all bad, but I mean, a game that you can be bad at and have fun doing it. I mean, that's just worth it. It's a lot of fun to play. So, and just a positive note for you guys, now that we play 3v3 Rocket League, we play together and we're talking. This is like a relationship building exercise. So we're working on that podcast chemistry nearly every night while we get a few games of Rocket League in. So if you want to hit us up, I mean, get at us on Twitter, and maybe the three of us will take you and your crew on. And I think we all know how it's going to end.
Yeah, with
already.
embarrassment.
With us getting embarrassed.
Yeah, I love Rocket League. So if you want a fun arcade game, definitely go play that, because it was Game of the Year last year, but it's still just as good as it was. Is it time?
It's time for David's Comic Book Corner, I think.
I think it is. I don't know. I'm starting to lose it a little bit. I feel it in my voice that I'm starting to lose it a little bit. So let's get through this quick. My shout out this week is Robin Reborn by Chuck Dixon and a couple other artists, because it kind of brings in a couple issues of Detective Comics as well as the first kind of solo run for Robin, Tim Drake Robin, and it's a really good book. It's really solid. Tim Drake Robin is someone who really became Robin because he figured out who Batman was, figured out that it was Bruce Wayne, and did it really well. Did a really solid, really intro into the comics. His first like kind of comic is collected in a trade called A Lonely Place of Dying, which is a fantastic comic as well. But Robin Reborn, it's about Robin kind of going out and escaping Gotham, going through the world, learning and being awesome. So go check that out. Robin Reborn by Chuck Dixon.
Good stuff. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Social media plugs: Twitter at Sunny and PHX Pod, Facebook Phoenix Suns multiple sources, email sunnyandphxpod@gmail.com, website is sunnyandphxpod.com, and you know what? We'll see you next week. Go Suns.